Okay, I am making a video about chai, making chai, and my motivation is that for most people, chai is a syrup that milk is added to in the coffee store. And but in India, it's a completely different experience. Chai is. You buy a few sips from a chaiwala, and the chaiwala spends the whole day pretty well making chai. And so what I'm going to do on this video is make chai the way the chaiwalas in India make chai. And you'll find them all over India. They'll have little carts that look a little bit like this, and they'll be on the street corner, and it's really not very expensive, probably a quarter, not even a quarter. So to start with, chaiwalas make chai by the portion, and so I'm going to make one 6-ounce portion. I make my chai 50-50 with milk and water, but that's a personal preference. Now the chaiwalas, they're very secretive about their ingredients because they don't want their recipe stolen, and so the ingredients the flavoring is subtle, and really the successful chaiwala is one that can have very delicious chai without being able to make out quite what's in the chai. Of course there's going to be tea, milk, sugar, but it's those added flavors. Now I'm going to be giving away my top secret recipe. When I make chai, I use 4 ingredients. I use a little bit of orange peel, a little bit of cinnamon, cardamom pod, and a little bit of ginger. And I don't even take very much of any of these things. The cardamom pod, I'll take a whole one, but the ginger, I will just take a fingernail sliver size of ginger. That's going to go in the pot. The orange peel, just get 2 or 3 slivers off of that. Same with the cinnamon. You're going to want just maybe a little more cinnamon than orange peel. Now this is my recipe. And the cardamom pod, this is cut in half because you want the water to get inside the pod because the flavor is coming from the seeds. Ooh, I just dropped the seed there. I want that seed in there. Okay, so in addition, I use something called chai masala. Now this is a top secret recipe as well, and it's probably got more cinnamon in it, cloves, a couple of other spices. They don't tell you what the spices are, but I just take a pinch of this, just a pinch, to add just a little bit more flavor to it, and then I bring it up to a boil. I wait for these flavors to be infused in the water. After it's boiling, I'll be adding tea and milk. Now I can actually add the sugar now. Sugar, I take 1 teaspoon, and I take 1 teaspoon of tea leaves. Now the tea leaves are special. You can see here that it looks a little bit like black sand, and that's been specially fermented so that it steeps easily in milk. And but if you don't have loose tea that you can find at the Indian grocery store, well then you can use tea bags. Just I would cut open a few tea bags, take the tea out, and then use my measure, 1 heaping teaspoon of the tea. And you can use these interchangeably. You'd probably need a little bit more tea, but you don't want to keep the tea in the bag because when the milk's boiling, the milk fat gets stuck in the tea bag and the flavor of the tea does not get infused. Now, this is almost boiling here, so I'm fully ready to add the tea and the milk. I'll pour my measure of milk. So that's a 3-ounce cup I have there, and so 2 of those make 6 ounces. Like I said, if you don't want to put half and half milk, well, you can put a little bit less milk, top it up with water. That's really a personal preference. In a warm temperature, on a warm day, you'd want to have less milk. So this is boiling now, and I wait to put the tea until it's boiling because I'm not sure about this, but I think that the flavor bursts out of the tea leaves when it's boiling like that. You can even sort of hear this psst sound come off the tea when it goes in there like that. And then I let that boil for just a couple of seconds. Give it a swirl in the pot. and then I add the milk. And the milk, bring that back to a boil. Now, I've actually had quite a number of experiences with chai wallas in India. You know, I was fascinated with their theatrics. They're very theatrical. I've seen, you know, the best part of making the chai is infusing the chai with oxygen. Most people don't know about this, but this is a very important aspect of making chai, is getting oxygen back into the tea. After this boiling and this steam is coming off, what's happening is the tea is stewing in there, and it's boiling. A lot of water is coming out, and so you want to get air back in there. I worked with the chai walla one time in an industrial kitchen in India, and I made chai 400 liters at a time. And so we'd have this huge vessel like this, and infusing the tea with air is done manually. You take a 2-liter pot and you just go like that. You get a scoop of tea and you just drop it back in, but as the water is falling, the tea is falling back into the pot. It's being oxygenated on the outside. Now the tea is boiling. Now you got to look at this, because this is a beautiful thing. The tea, it swirls around in there, and it's you can see the tea leaves coming up. The milk is coming to a boil. It's really roiling in there. And I let that go for a good 10-15 seconds at least. It should be boiling for, I go for as long as 30 seconds. And give it a little stir so those tea leaves stay in the mix instead of floating on the top. And then after, I mean, it's basically ready. I'm going to turn the heat off. Now we got to get oxygen back in. Now there's a number of ways to get the oxygen back in, but number one is swirling it like this. Now you can see the steam is still coming out, but at the same time, so it's getting thicker and thicker. Now this is what you want. You want it to be thick because it's going to have that velvety texture on your tongue. And this is really what the chai wallas do for a living. They give people that moment of bliss. You know, you have the taste coming into your mouth and oh, so delicious. And everyone walks away with a smile on their face. I think it would be a great job to have. But anyway, so now we're going to filter, and I do that. It's a little overkill, but I do it in 2 steps. There's powder in here from the masala, and so I want to separate that out. So step 1 is just to get the tea leaves and the spices out, and those are sitting in there, back in the pot, because I'm going to use this to make chai tomorrow. And tomorrow's chai, these spices will have been fermenting all night, and they're going to be just delicious in tomorrow's chai. But now we've still got that powder that's in here and little pieces of leaf, and so we're going to get rid of that with this very fine filter right here. And so now we've got that stuff out of there. And what we have left here is filtered chai, and we've got to get the oxygen back in it. So the way that's done is to pour it back in, and this cools it down at the same time. But you pour it in from quite a height, and you can see it's foaming up on the top. You want to have it coming out at just the right speed so it doesn't splash all over the place. Now it's going to be quite hot, maybe too hot, but always delicious no matter how hot it is. But I want to cool it down, and so I'm going to do this one more time. Now this is the incredible thing about the chai wallas. They're doing this all day long for their whole life. They can bring this cup all the way down from a full arm's length, pour it so that the entire portion of tea is in the air, and catch it with their other hand. And not only can they do that with their right hand, but they can also do it with their left hand. And so they're going back and forth like this with whole portions of chai in the air. Anyway, if it was not for the chai wallas, we would not have the chai syrup in the coffee stands. And I encourage everyone to go to India and have the real thing, chai. I do this twice a day, and this is a great life.